If you aren't genetically gifted or believe that you have to work harder than your teammates just to get half the results they have, if you feel that way, this video is gonna be for you. I used to be this person. I used to be in that same boat. I used to be the skinny white wide receiver. Whenever I would see my friends, they would just be swole, and I would ask them how swole they are, and they couldn't even give me a good answer. They would just give me answers like, bro, all I do is eat the slushy and the cookie from lunch, and I look like this, and they'll be swole like this back in like high school. And I'm just like, bro, how does that even happen? If I ate a cookie and a slushy every day, I would not look like that. But in this video, I'm gonna teach you how I overcame having that limiting belief, having that belief that my genetics aren't good enough, so I won't be good enough, so I won't be that good on the field, so I won't look a certain way. It's harder for me, where I thought that I wasn't gonna be good at football, or it was impossible just because I was born away. All of those stupid little thoughts saying that, all that is just society in your head. That's how you know you've been on the internet too much. You've been on social media too much, and you're not focusing on the right things. You're focusing on what other people have going on other people's lives, on their situation. And that's taking you away from your situation. So we need to, even though like our teammates are in person, we don't see them on social media, we're still thinking about the wrong thing. We have the wrong focus, okay? And I'm about to teach you that, okay? But talking point number 1 in this video is, how do you know if your genetics are bad? How do you really know if the genetics that God gave you is trash genetics? Okay, because you're playing the sport football. If you had really trash genetics compared to everybody in the world, you would not be able to play football. If you had trash genetics, you would probably be born in, like, I don't want to say this to like be offend at anybody, but like, if you had trash genetics compared to the whole world, you might be in a wheelchair. I'm not saying that to be a dickhead. I'm saying that because it's the truth. I'm saying that because if you really had bad genetics, then you wouldn't even be able to play football. Okay, so we got to get that out of my head, and I still kind of struggle with that, but that's something I gotta remind myself. And I've gotten way better over the past couple years, but sometimes it comes back and haunts me. So I just gotta remember and remind that to myself, okay? But one thing I learned that completely negates the thought of having terrible genetics is consistency. If you get one thing from this video, is that you need to have a plan set in place to get stronger, to get more athletic, because you can get more athletic. If you have 2 arms, 2 legs, and you're functioning and you don't have too much pain in your body, you can certainly get more athletic no matter what age you are. But you gotta be consistent with it. And I see people I grew up with that aren't that consistent, that don't work out as much, and then whenever they hit the field, they're like the fastest dude on the field and all that. And I believe that it comes from the things you do when you were a child. You were running and playing all the time. You were playing sports all the time. And it really comes, a lot of times when we think of good genetics, is really, a lot of it comes from what the kids did, or what the people did whenever they were kids, whenever they were young, how many sports they were playing, okay? Not just the way you were born, but like the actions you took as well as a kid. And that really shapes your athleticism, shapes who you're gonna be as an athlete as a kid. But that doesn't mean that you have limitations. That doesn't mean that in the future you're gonna be a trash athlete if you never trained as a kid. That doesn't mean that, okay? And chances are you probably did so much more as a kid than you can even imagine. You probably did so much sports and playing around as a kid, because that's what kids do. All you're doing is putting a limitation on yourself, saying that you didn't do that, okay? But you probably did. Obviously, we just don't remember. Just by doing that, putting a limiting belief on yourself, that alone is making you a worse athlete. Imagine you played as a kid your whole life. You played sports as your whole life, and then now when you see somebody doing better than you, you're blaming it on genetics. You've been playing sports your whole life. And now just because you see somebody doing better, you just want to put an excuse that they have genetics? Nah, instead of saying that, let's say, okay, I'm gonna compete with this dude. I don't care how he looks. I don't care about his genetic. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is this sport and this moment, and how can I win in this moment? How can I win in the weight room today? How can I lift more weights in the weight room today? How can I beat this dude in this drill? How can I beat this dude in a one-on-one? It's more about that than it is about genetics. Genetics that's just like a thing people start to cope with. We don't need to cope with that. So we got to get rid of comparison. Our battle with ourselves is more of a battle than who we were yesterday, who we were 6 months ago, who we were a year ago from today. That's really the battle. That's who we should compare ourselves to, not to the person next to us who has whose dad was an NFL athlete and whose mom was a Olympic track athlete. That's not the person we need to be comparing ourselves to. We need to be comparing ourselves to who we were in the past, okay? And then I need you to play the cards that you were dealt and embrace yourself fully. Embrace your authentic self. Now that we got all the genetics, all that stupid stuff out the way, that little mental belief, that challenging belief, now that we got all of that out the way, we need to just focus on us. Focus on us. Mind our business. Quit putting our focus on other people's business. Mind our business. You can complain all day. You can complain about the genetics, all that genetic stuff that I've been talking about this whole video. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I used to do the same thing. And sometimes I catch myself doing it again, but I'm way better at it. But we got to embrace who we are and what we have. See, my problem with all this genetics talk and blaming other people and saying I have trash genetics, I didn't realize that, bro, I'm 6'3" and I can run fast. I'm 6'3" and I can run fast. How is that trash genetics? Because whenever I lift weights, I don't get as much muscle as that other dude. I've destroyed dudes who have had the ripped abs, who have had bigger arms than me. I've destroyed dudes on the field that have been stronger than me, that look stronger than me, that have more muscle than me. Okay, it's more about our mindset. It's more about how we play on that field. And you could be holding yourself back the same way I did. How tall are you? How fast can you run? How laterally quick are you? Ask yourself that and be truthful. I remember I posted this one video and somebody said, to be honest, bro, you're really not even that explosive. And it was a video like me running a 40, and that was at like one of the most explosive parts of my life. But the way I run, it doesn't look like I'm running full speed, kind of like Jamar Chase. Whenever we see Jamar Chase run, it kind of looks like he's jogging, but nobody can catch up to him. I noticed I have a similar style where whenever I'm running, it doesn't look like I'm running that fast. And somebody commented saying, to be honest, bro, you're not even that explosive. And that person doesn't know who I am. They just saw a video that I posted. And this other person in my comments, it was one of my past videos, I forgot which one. But another person put that commented after that. He was like, bro, shut up with all that internet stuff. A 4'4" is a 4'4". And whoever said that, if you're watching this video, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. Whenever I saw that, I was laughing. I was like, hey, he's right. He's right. But we got to play the cards I was dealt. And just like I said earlier, you got to be consistent with the right training plan, okay? And if you need a right training plan, if you need some guidance on how you want to get better, I have the community in the description. I had to change it because people were finessing me. I gave y'all a free trial for the first 7 days, and then you pay after the first 7 days. But I saw people kept coming in with new free trials over and over and kept changing their names. So I just put it to, you pay me up front and then you get access to a year. So it's not a monthly subscription, you get access a whole year. That's more than enough time for you to download that knowledge and for you to make your own plan, okay? Okay, and what I mean by like playing the cards you were dealt, embracing your story, is that it's gonna take long for you to really see your true potential. If you're still complaining about your genetics, ask yourself, how consistent are you? Have you been working out with intention, with the intention to become more athletic and the intention to become a better football player or basketball player? I know some basketball players watch my videos. Have you been consistently putting that over and over, putting that work in over and over? Have you been doing that? And if you say yes, then how long? Has it been 6 months? Has it been a year? Has it been 2 years? Bro, 6 months is the minimum for you to get more athletic. You're not going to get more athletic in a week, in 2 weeks, in 1 month. 6 months of consistent work is the minimum. Okay, yeah, sometimes when we start putting in work from like the first month, we can see some huge gains, but it's not always like that. It's not going to be first month, second month, third month. It's not always going to be like that. Okay, 6 months to a year to 2 years. Imagine how good you'll be if you do 5 years of consistent work. Okay, ask yourself, how consistent are you? And if it's you're not consistent at all, then that's your answer. It's not your genetics, it's your consistency. Okay, but let's say you are consistent now that you know that the consistency is the problem. Now the biggest game changer for you is the intensity you put into your workouts and the intention you put into your workouts. Before you even go into your workouts, you got to understand what it is you want to get better at. You want to build muscle? Do you want to look more aesthetically pleasing for yourself and for the girls? Do you want to look better in the uniform? Or do you want to run faster? Do you want to be quicker? Identify what it is that you want to do. And I guarantee you don't have a problem doing that. Nobody has a problem identifying their weaknesses and what they want to build the most. Okay. So after you've identified, now you got to understand what it is that's going to help that the most. So if your thing is speed and you want to get faster, I always say this: run 40s 2 to 3 times a week, 3 40s after a good dynamic warm up with 5 minutes rest in between. I have videos talking about it. I'll probably link one up right there. You gotta find the proven ways how other people get faster, and you gotta do that. Now that you have that plan in place, now that you set the intention, now we need to set the intensity. Whenever you are going to warm up for those 40s, every time like you do your high knees, your A skips, you put that foot in the ground as hard as you can. Every time you run those sprints, you push off the ground as hard as you can. That's where the intensity part comes in. And I want to tell you a story about a time where I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to get in shape. I was just coming off my first ACL surgery and I was getting a little chunky. So I noticed I had to change my body proportions, and I wanted to look ripped and I wanted to look good. Found out that my shoulders were naturally narrow, and that comes to my genetics, okay? But instead of complaining about it, I was like, know what? I'm just going to do a whole bunch of shoulder presses, a whole bunch of lateral raises. And so I did nucleus overload for about 6 months, at least 6 months, where I'll do 100 reps a day for 5 to 6 days a week of just shoulders. So I could do 100 reps of lateral raises a day. I'll do that, and I'll do tricep extensions, 100 reps of that. And I'll do that 5 to 6 days every day, 5 to 6 days every day, 5 to 6 days every week for about 6 to 8 months. That's what I did. And that's how I put on size. And so I would do, and even on my upper body days, I would do 4 sets of 12 shoulder press. I would do 4 sets of 12, or not 12. I'll do 4 sets. I'll do like 5, 6, 7 single arm. And then I'll do standing up shoulder press, and I'll do sitting down shoulder press. And because I knew that's what my shoulders is what I wanted to build. And I knew that like it also builds like the upper chest, it builds your triceps. And honestly, shoulder press is my favorite workout, and I changed my body like that. I completely transformed my body by doing all of that, by going hard. And whenever I was doing those shoulder presses, I was going hard. I was challenging myself. I was doing progressive overload. I was upping the weight every single week. Okay, that's what you got to do. You got to up the weight, up the intensity every week. Okay. Obviously, there's a time where we shouldn't be going as hard, like right the day before a game. If our coach has us lifting, obviously we don't want to destroy ourselves. Like there's a time and place for that. But if your intention is to get stronger, get bigger, you got to analyze where you are in the off season, where you are in the season, and you got to make this a safe hypothesis, I should say. And I mean the same thing with on the field stuff. I just gave you a story about what I did in the weight room, but we gotta find what we want to get better at on the field. We gotta see what works, how the good players are doing it. If we want to have better footwork and we're a running back, we gotta see what the good running backs are doing, what they do on film, and we gotta go out there and we gotta practice what we see on film. Why practice what we see on social media if it's just a stupid drill that you can see that people are just doing it for attention? The only reason those people can do those cool drills is because they master the basics. We got to master the basic footwork, because the basics never change. We always need the basics. We don't always need that flashy stuff. I guarantee you, you see somebody do a release on the internet, I guarantee you your whole career, you might do that one time in a game, okay? So doing all the pretty stuff, all the fancy stuff for the clicks, that's not worth your time. That's not worth your time of like practicing over and over and over every day, because you might only do that one time. If you don't get the basics right, then there's no point of even practicing all the flashy stuff, the double moves, the triple moves, all the releases that look cool. There's no point in practicing that. If you don't see it work in the game, then don't even try to practice it. Practice what you see works in the game. And that's how you set the intention and intensity for your workouts. And if you have bad genetics, whatever, you really you got to lock in on your diet. And that's just what it is. You got to lock in on your diet. Chances are you probably don't eat enough protein. Ask yourself, do you eat enough protein? The answer is no. Then I'm guarantee you, if you do that, if you eat enough protein, the right amount of protein for 6 months, you will be a completely different person. And that doesn't mean eating protein bars. Every meal is a protein bar. Drinking protein shakes, that doesn't mean that. Even though those are good, those are supplements. I want you to eat chicken, steak, rice, fish if you like fish, okay? Eggs. Did I say rice? I don't know. I feel like I just said rice, but whatever. Chicken, steak, ground beef. I mean, fish if you like fish, eggs. Yogurt is good too, but I want you to eat the real foods, not all the processed stuff you can still eat. But I don't want that to be the main thing. I want the main thing to be the real protein sources. And then if you're trying to get more athletic, you're trying to get faster, eat your carbs. Sometimes when you eat more carbs and you're doing a whole lot, you'll lose more weight. Your body burns more calories digesting your calories than they do in your actual workouts. Like, if you don't believe me, look it up. There's science behind that like eating more calories burns calories. Like I'm pretty sure my mom told me that eating a boiled egg takes more calories to burn than it does to eat. Get your nutrition right. I teach you what I do personally in my course, in my mentorship, and you can message me there, you can talk to me there about all that. If we have bad genetics, and I keep doing this, but like sometimes like we gotta it's really just figuring out what our body needs, figuring out what works for us, because everybody is different. You gotta find out what works for you. You gotta formulate what is gonna work for you. You gotta experiment with yourself. Okay, and you can have a best friend that is completely different, but you got to find out what works for you. Something completely different can work for everybody around you. We got to see what our intention is with our life and what is going to accomplish that goal. Okay, just a bonus tip for all of this stuff is manifesting that you are genetically gifted, manifesting that you are talented at the sport, that you are a natural talent, telling yourself that it's easy, because the more you tell yourself it's hard, that you have to work harder, the more reality is going to show you how you have to work harder. So tell yourself it's effortless. Tell yourself it's easy to get in shape. Tell yourself you have great genes. Tell yourself you're a naturally amazing athlete. You're an Olympic athlete. Tell yourself that. Why not? Why not tell yourself that? Why not believe in a fantasy? Who's to say you're wrong? I'm not gonna say you're wrong for letting your mind run free or letting your imagination run free. Let your imagination run free, bro. Be who you want to be in this life. And just to address the elephant in the room about my videos, there's not a lot of edits. There's not the NFL B-roll clips that you see. All that is just me talking and just some cuts of me in between stuff. Because I really don't have that time to edit right now. I don't have that time to put in all that stuff in. So hopefully y'all still watch these videos and y'all don't watch them because it stimulates your brain, when really it's not even not much of an edit. But I don't know how long I'm gonna have these videos like that where it's just me talking. I don't know how long. I don't. But I still want to help you guys out, because when I was in a situation like y'all's, I really needed somebody like this, so I still want to help y'all out. So I'm gonna give y'all videos. It's just gonna be me talking though. It's not gonna be the B-roll clips until I have time to do that and to extra time to put in all that. I got some other things I got to focus on. But if you're still watching this and and like you've watched this far, I'm grateful for you, because that just means that your attention span isn't lost like majority of society, okay? And that you really want to learn, and that maybe you really like me and you appreciate me. And if you do, man, I appreciate you, man. Real talk. But so I just don't have the time to get all those edits, but I want to help you out, okay? I still want to help y'all out. And yeah, now that you know how to take care and how to take advantage of your genetics and how to go about life in this way, here's how to enjoy getting better at football.